Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Friday afternoon, so I thought I'd do a sort of a live stream to talk about how fucking amazing we are at the minute. I will say that. Before I get started, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. So, it all come out yesterday. Obviously, the parade happened yesterday, and it was some amazing sort of scenes in the East End of London. Do you know what I'm saying? West Ham's crowd there yesterday, considering there was about 40,000 in Prague, was just phenomenal. Just a phenomenal turnout yesterday. It really was. It was good to see the players looking so happy and fresh, and it was a feel good vibe around East London. I will say that, and you know, it's one of them ones that. That's all we've ever wanted as fans. Obviously, I'm a bit more calmer today than I was the other day. I was a bit of emotionally damaged, and I should have used that on myself. But you know, it is what it is. On Wednesday night, I was just having years and years of emotion all come out. Do you know what I'm saying? And I was just basically feeling it all on Wednesday night. Do you know what I'm saying? As the days have gone on, and it's sort of settled in now, and we now know what we are. We are champions of Europe. I will say that, which is a good feeling. It really is. I've seen a lot of fans from rival fans criticising West Ham, saying that we're going to be over the top. But do you know what? As I take that off, I don't think we are going over the top. I think we've got every right to celebrate it. People celebrate us getting relegated from time to time, so why can't we celebrate winning something from time to time? And we have won something, and at the end of the day, we'll take anything, and we've took that. Do you know what I'm saying? If you could pick a trophy, a lot of people would say FA Cup would be the main one for them. But for me, you can go into Europe and do it in Europe. You attract European players to make West Ham better. I will say that. So yeah, listen, I'm buzzing. I'm happy. Obviously now I'm looking towards the future of what's going to happen in the near future. Obviously with Deck and everything else is going to be interesting. But yesterday for me was a bit sort of a surreal moment for me. I wasn't there yesterday. I couldn't get down to London, and where I was watching it, it was like a moment where I just thought, you know what, this is what it's always been like. This is always what I've dreamed like. Don't get me wrong. I've seen parades before, West Ham getting promoted and with a trophy and everything, but it's just not the same vibe. It's just not the same vibe. That yesterday was powerful. That yesterday sort of inspired people to support West Ham United Football Club. That's one thing I will say. And it could be a start or something for West Ham. It really could be. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we all know that Deck is probably 95% going to be leaving the club in the summer. And I will be talking about Sullivan shortly. But for me, whatever happens moving on, as long as we get the right money for Declan Rice and basically spend it wisely and don't spend it like Aston Villa did a few years ago when they got rid of Grealish, then let's hope that we can develop and go further up the tree and not be fighting relegation ever again, in my opinion. So, obviously, that's a major talking point. I will say that. But West Ham are massive, mate. And trust me, I'm just so very, very proud. This is in the chat before I move on. Obviously, everyone's buzzing. I see the messages on social media. I must admit, social media has been an absolute vibe. Do you know what I'm saying? I've been on social media, especially on Twitter, not really that long, but when it comes to other people. And I'll be real, everyone seems just to be in such a good vibe with West Ham, which is good. Do you know what I mean? There's been a lot of needle on Twitter and a lot of people backwards and forwards. And obviously, people are backed Moyes up. I will talk about Moyes. But it's just been backwards and forwards all season. And then yesterday, everyone just sort of come together and said, you know what? Forget all that. Look what we got. So, you know, it's just one of them, really. Let's get to Glenn. Glenn said, afternoon, bud. Hope you're well, Glenn. Is it just me or can not anyone else stop singing the songs? Yeah. Just sold my car. I must admit, I see something on there. They actually done a little video on there themselves and had Lucas Paqueta's face on it, which is amazing. Pride of London. I totally agree, mate. You know what I'm saying? I see someone earlier on, naming no names, but he's an Arsenal fan, famous Arsenal fan, and he says about Arsenal finishing second, a better season than West Ham, than West Ham's had. My attitude to that is, in 10 years' time, no one will remember second-placed Arsenal. People will remember when West Ham won the conference. Not only did West Ham just win the conference, West Ham went unbeaten in the conference. Not only that, is they've done it in a way in a season where it was bad. Do you know what I'm saying? And people were looking at the Premier League form as no one ever thought about that West Ham was actually grinding at the Premier League form because they wanted to win the conference. Listen, if you're fighting and you're 12th in the league, why are you going to try and do better in the league when really you want to be trying to win the competition to sort of cement that European spot? That's what West Ham done. So I'm overly proud, mate. P. Lucas, hope you're well, mate. Let's get down here. Brian says, we are massive. I agree, mate. I really do. I feel good viable will uplift next season. 10 finish European Cup with a realistic Bowen man and match. Benny was brilliant. Paqueta was sublime. All were heroes. Yeah, I've got so much to talk about today. I really have. Obviously, the player ratings will be Sunday, 8 o'clock. All the boys will be on Sunday. Every single one of them. Yeah, Clive, online, Mitch, Lucas. Lucas is heading all the way back to the USA. Mitch is in the UK now. Clive's back home also. And obviously, WestHamOnline's flying back in tonight from Zante. So all the boys will be there on Sunday to talk about the player ratings. So I'm not going to really go into any player ratings. But for me, some of these players were just brilliant on the night. Do you know what I'm saying? I thought Aguerd and Zuma were decent up until when Zuma got injured. But then even Tilo Kehrer comes in, he does a job. He does his job. Do you know what I mean? I thought Emerson, and how much stick Emerson's got over the season, I thought he was man of the match by country mile. I really did. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he handled that geezer. I think it was Gonzalez on his side very, very well. And he done the damage on that side. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of players who stand out. Obviously, I backed Benny up. So I was gloating on Wednesday a little bit through the tears. I was like, I'd have sort of had a dig at a few people to say, like, are you going to give Ben Rama a rest now? There's still a few people on social media turning around digging him out. And I'm like, mate, if you're going to dig him out now, then you're never going to support him. Ever. Do you know what I mean? So it's pointless me fighting that battle with you. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought on the night, I didn't rate Fiorentina, if I'm honest. But as I've got more of a calmer head now, I didn't rate them. I thought they was all right. They huffed and puffed, but they weren't going nowhere. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a typical West Ham performance, in my opinion. Always sort of hit them on the break and hope for the best, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? But we will get to the player ratings later. Bet City fans don't turn out like that. Yeah. Moyes is in a meeting today with Sullivan. He could resign on a high. I was going to discuss that, but I'll tell you what, Tony. As you bring it up, let's get into it right now. Will Moyes stay or go? As Tony has put it in there about Moyes, big moment. If he does leave, he does resign, or it's done by mutual consent, I could accept that probably. Do you know what I'm saying? If he wants to go, right, I think the Celtic job's there for him, and I think this is his best moment to go and manage Celtic. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think he can do that any other time. There is also a key factor is what else can he do with West Ham? Do you know what I'm saying? Fair enough, he's won the conference with us, but next season, the Europa League, that's going to be a lot tougher than it was when we was in it. I will say that. Obviously, we're going to lose Deck. So if Moyes goes, I can accept it to a point. Do you know what I mean? To say, you know what, fair enough. Yeah. Obviously, if he gets sacked, right, I don't think that's right, in my opinion. Even though I don't like it, I just don't think it's right. Because he just won us a trophy, the first trophy in 43 years. So it's very hard for me just to say, and I've got a bit of a respect thing with me. I'm more sort of on the lines of like, look what the geezer's just done. He's given us that moment, yeah. Can you really chuck him at the door? Do you know what I'm saying? Unless West Ham have got someone already in the pipeline. Do you know what I mean? But this is West Ham United, and when it comes to Moyes and Sullivan, I wouldn't be certain if West Ham have got a sort of a replacement. I really wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Let's just hope they ain't scrambling about. So I will get into your comments with that in regards to Moyes. Let me flick through. Let's see what everyone's saying. Right, what we got here? Let's have a look. So Villa was writing the tournament off. Yeah, wait till they get in the semis next year. Be like, yes, yeah. I had a disagreement with a Villa fan on James. They reckon we have over 100k at that parade yesterday. There was a lot. Let's put it like that. Everywhere was just jam packed. I had a row with a Villa fan on Twitter. He said about how much we was going over the top with our sort of celebrations of it. And I told him, I said, you had a parade for qualifying for it. Do you know what I mean? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Fever's fight for Benny will never end. Listen, at the end of the day, I back him up, mate. Yeah, because I know he's not shit. And the feeling I have is the tide is slowly starting to turn. Don't get me wrong. One thing with me is I'm not blinded by Ben Rummer's ability. I know we need better on that left-hand side also. Do you know what I mean? And I know there's going to be times when he ain't going to be on it. Yeah. But under pressure in key moments, he scored some big penalties for West Ham. Big penalty against Arsenal in the Premier League. He scored a key goal against AZ at home. Do you know what I mean? He scored a key goal in the final. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to give him some credit. It just seems like people just don't want to give him credit because it's like they've lost the argument, so to speak. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you just can't win. Emerson man of the match for me in the final. Good going forward and kept Gonzalez quiet. Yeah, he did, mate. As it goes, he was man of the match for me 100%. Let's get down here, man. If I miss your comments, I do apologise, but I'm trying to go and get to the bottom. What we got here? Ben Rummer will forever have hero status. He's only the fourth player to score in the European final for West Ham United Football Club. Respect the name. I agree, mate. Let's get into this. What I've sort of pinned here. Let's talk about this, man. Declan Rice equals legend. What can I say about this kid that hasn't already been said on like social media and basically fucking everywhere? Declan Rice for me has been the key point why West Ham have changed the way they've approached and their mentality has changed as fans. Their mentality has changed. For how much I love Mark Noble, he was never on par with Declan Rice, not once. And for me, since Declan sort of took the armband and been more of a presence in West Ham's side, West Ham have just gone on leaps and bounds over the last few years. I will say that. Him yesterday on that stage on the mic was just brilliant. Right, you know what I mean, he let his guard slip yesterday. Just put it like that. He's a human being and he's a young lad. Yeah, and he acted like a young lad yesterday when he was on that stage giving it how he was giving it. But he's been a major influence on this club. Really has. If he does go, for me, there's only one problem I have. If he does go, is I just don't think Arsenal's the right move for him. I really don't. I just don't see the logic in it. Do you know what I mean? As I've always said on this channel, I can respect the Chelsea one because he's a fan. Yeah, and if you was playing for a club and West Ham come calling, you would want to play for your boyhood club. I could get it. Obviously, you ain't going to go Spurs. Manchester United's an interesting one for me because I know they're building, but at present, are they going to win anything anytime soon? So I can understand that one. Right, I don't see that one happening, but they do nick trophies. United, that's one thing they do. The Liverpool and Man City one would be ideal, right? Because they're both powerhouses. You know what I mean? If Liverpool don't win the league, they're usually in the sort of Champions League at final stages. And obviously, Manchester City speaks for itself. It's a world-class club, world-class team, and they've got a world-class manager. So I could accept that. It's just if he goes to Arsenal, I just don't get it. And that's the one where for how much I love him right now, he's still a West Ham boy. That's the one that's going to hurt me if he does go there. You know what I mean? Because I don't think they're going to appreciate him as much as we do. Two, I could see if it goes bad at Arsenal, they'll be on his back before too long. Easy. Do you know what I mean? If he makes one mistake, they're gonna be all over him like a good one. And for me, I just don't see where the development is at Arsenal. For me, I really don't. So let me know what you think on that, people. I'm the same, Jay. Yeah, I agree, mate. I just wish when the top six were going to go, I wish they would have won. And that's what's wrong. It just jumped a minute. That's just what's wrong with football fans today. The Conference Cup is not good enough for them if you support the top six. I agree, Jerry. I really do, mate. Nice to see the human side of players the last few days. I agree. Tilo sort of reminded me of him when he was back in sort of Germany for Schalke, sort of getting their sort of crowds up and running. All the boys, really. Do you know what I mean? It was just a different side to West Ham that I've never seen before. A good side and all. Like, I've seen so many clips on sort of social media. One of the clips I saw is obviously all the lads dancing around in the hotel with the fans, which is, you just don't do that. Like, you just don't do that. Like, especially in modern day football, it just doesn't happen. Do you know what I'm saying? The side Ben Rama one was hilarious. Like, he's out at 5 o'clock in the morning, bumping into fans. He looks like he's just gone out for a run. Do you know what I'm saying? And I've tweeted something saying, like, he scores a pen, he wins a trophy, he's right, he has a good night out, and then next thing you know, he's on a run, he bumps into fans, and he's like taking photos and all that. And what I like about West Ham over the last 48 hours is they're humble. That's the one thing I do like. There's no egos in this side. They appreciate the shirt. They appreciate us as fans who support them. There's been so many powerful videos that's been made, especially on Twitter. And obviously, the one from BT, the no filter one, where you see Declan Rice standing there with his back to the camera, and the camera's sort of facing the fans. It was something of sort of like something you can remember forever, like of them fans, like literally singing to him, saying like, "We want you to stay." I just don't. For me personally, for Dec's sake, I hope he does make the right decision. I really do, because for me, 24 years old, you've just won a trophy with West Ham. I get the appeal of going to a top end club. It don't always work out the way you want it to, mate. I will say that. I've seen many times good players go to clubs and just flop, and I just hope it don't happen to him. I really don't. I think Sully's performance on TalkSport yesterday was saying to Rice, sign a new deal or we're selling you. Sign the deal deck. Funny enough, Rich, I will talk about Mr. Sullivan. I wasn't happy with how he came out of that yesterday, David Sullivan. I thought he was an absolute idiot. When he's getting interviewed about Declan Rice, yet again, David Sullivan has to make it all about himself, which winds me up massively. West Ham just won a trophy the first time in 43 years. And in the next breath, someone asked him about Declan Rice. What he should have said was, basically, he's our player. We're going to wait and see what offers come in the summer, and we will assess it in the summer. Instead, he throws Declan Rice under the bus big time, and says, basically, we've offered him 200k 18 months ago, yeah, on a stupid 7-year deal or something like that, right? And to me, right, this is my own personal opinion, and tell me if you think I'm right or wrong on this. I feel that he's trying to recoup the money back from last year. I think he needs to sell Rice. I think someone said this to me last year. He said, "Don't worry, James. This money that West Ham are spending this year, that's the Declan Rice money for when Declan goes." So just think about it like this, for argument's sake. If Declan says, "No, I'm staying another year," but his value is going to go right down. Like from a £92 million player, it'll go down to a £50 million player next summer. So for me, it just felt like Sullivan was throwing him under the bus and saying to him, like, listen, we need to sell you, basically. Do you know what I mean? Declan Rice wants to go. If that's a player who wants to go, mate, I'll be stunned. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the way he's with the fans, and listen, he's a professional lad. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he does want to go. I think if the offers come in, he's going to assess them like anything. But do you know what I mean? You haven't got a force to move West Ham, because West Ham have got control of the contract. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's more from a financial point of view with Sullivan, and it just, if you watch the interview back with on TalkSport and listen to it word for word what Sullivan comes out with, he says something at the back end of the interview, and I haven't got it to hand to say, but he says something along the lines about money, and it's cost us 10 million, or it's costing 10 million a year. But he should know that Declan Rice isn't about money. He never has been. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is why I've always said it. I always say it, to the day I go or the day that man goes, we need to get Sullivan out this door, because he's just not the right man for West Ham anymore. Do you know what I mean? People can give him credit for what he's done. Fair enough. I can't. But I just felt on that interview, it becomes a breaking news story that Declan Rice is basically, news has come out that he's definitely leaving. You could have left it a week. Do you know what I mean? You could have let West Ham have our moment in our sun. Like, and what done it for me, and I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant here, but what done it for me was the lads wasn't even in fucking England. Like, they wasn't even, like, hadn't even touched down in the UK, and that news is coming out. So, you know, it's not don't get me wrong, I'm not deluded. Like, it's not no news that we haven't heard before, and we all know as fans deep down that he's going to go. But we don't need the owner of the club telling us that 12 hours after we've just won a trophy. That's the one thing I will say. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's just stupid, really, if I'm being honest. But that's just me. Right, let's have a look, see what you've got to say. I heard the Arsenal deal is all but done. 88 million plus 15 million add-ons. If it's done, it's done. You can't sack a manager after he wins a trophy. Next season will be better. Even I can admit that with my Moyes out credentials. I agree on that, mate. Evening or afternoon, I should say. I love these fans singing the songs. I've never seen that before from any club. Congratulations from a Charlton fan. Thank you very much, mate. I really do appreciate it. Let's have a look. What else we got here? Very happy for you, James. Listen, I'm happy for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Because we all deserve it. Like if you wear the claret and blue and you support the lads through and through, you're one of us. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not. This is not like whoever's got the biggest fucking like. There's not a fan who's the biggest fan. We're all the same. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I don't treat anyone different. Like they support West Ham like I do. Do you know what I mean? Like, but obviously, some people's opinions are different than others. So you know, on that, an absolutely shambles really when it comes out to any sort of PR. Yeah, I agree. The bloke's a muppet. I agree on that. Happy Hammerette. Hope you're well. I'm doing very, very well. 5 years he's had to build a top side. I agree with Glenn on that when it comes to Sullivan. Agree, he's not about the money. We fans know that as poor of Sullivan. It is, mate, indeed, really is. And do you know what it was with Sullivan? Had to try and ruin a week, for fuck's sake. I agree. And what it was with Sullivan, it was just like it was like he was trying to flog him. He was trying to sell him to me. Like, and if you listen to it and you hear what he's saying, it's like, oh, we've offered him this and he doesn't want to know, he wants to leave. And I'm thinking, mate, what are you trying to do? You're trying to ruin this geezer, right? All of a sudden, because one thing I will say, Declan Rice is bigger than Sullivan. You know what I mean? He is now. Do you know what I'm saying? So people, and what proved it to me was that video. That video when the cameras behind him on the no filter BT thing. When you're seeing them fans in Prague literally like worshipping this man, yeah, and everyone all around the world, yeah. I've seen people in the USA, Australia, everyone in the UK, in pubs, social clubs, like box parks, everything, yeah. They're worshipping this geezer, yeah. So when you're trying to sort of degrade him to a point, I think that's poor from Sullivan, big time. Do you know what I mean? Sullivan's a scumbag, yeah. He always has been in my eyes, yeah. And I've always sort of led the fight on that, but you don't come out and say things like that. And anyone who backs him, i.e., certain journalists that we all know, I just don't know what it is. But I think I do know what it is. But I will say it. Fuck it, I will say it because this is my channel. I say what I like. It's all to do with money, because he probably gets a pound note from the man, like to say and put out propaganda shit on to make Sullivan look good. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what it is on that. But we all know who I'm talking about. Thoughts on us pushing for Barnes? Good signing. If that happens, I will say that. Get him in. Paqueta passed it to Barnes. The only thing with Barnes that I noticed from a lot of Leicester fans before I move on was they said about his work rate. His work rate went up to scratch towards the back end of the season. But you know what? If he comes to West Ham and he scores a good few goals, you know, he'd be another hero. Like you said, his value drops if Declan wishes to go into his last year. That's the problem, Glenn, yeah? And that's why I felt like he threw him under the bus, in a way. Do you know what I mean? I do agree, James. It's irritating, but it's not worth your energy. Lots to talk about. It wouldn't be high on my list. I agree, but you still got to talk about it, mate. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Got to talk about it. Yes, Theo, talk about what you like, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so in regards to that, that's all sort of all good, everything. Do you know what I mean? So let's get into this. So what's next for West Ham? For me, the future is very bright for West Ham. I will say that at the minute as I sort of take that off. The future is very bright for West Ham at the minute. Obviously, next season Europa League. That's the first thing, yeah, which is a good starting point. We're going to have. We're going to be in the transfer market for players who we can attract, like obviously having Europe, which is good. Do you know what I mean? Well, someone's just mentioned there about Harvey Barnes, and obviously that's a very good signing if West Ham can get that done. He's a good player. He's young. It's the sort of players West Ham should be going for. Do you know what I'm saying? I think this transfer window is going to be the biggest one of all for me, because obviously if Declan does go, which he is going to go, right? There's no two ways about it, he's going to go. I think West Ham have got to sign the right players, and these players have got to adapt to a system that Moyes plays or any new manager plays straight away. I think it's a major thing if we, just for argument's sake, we take Moyes out, we bring new players in, we've got to get a new manager in, and we've got to hope for all these players to gel all at the same time. Like, I hope it ain't like a self-destruct mode, basically. You know what I'm saying? But I've got positive vibe on this one, mate. I really have. I think West Ham might just sort of sort themselves out, attract some good players. Obviously, there's players that could leave. Obviously, Lanzini, I think, will probably go. Right, there's a few others. Obviously, there's a few one-year deals on the table there. I think Fabianski's going to be here next season. I think Cresswell's definitely here next season. Obviously, he's signed a new deal for another year extension. I'm not too sure if O'Bonnell's going to be here or not, because obviously, unless he's got another year on his contract. But the future's bright at West Ham. If we can sort of keep the vibe going, and do you know what I'm saying? And I can understand when people say about trophies that they mean something, yeah? They do mean something, because it just proves that yesterday how amazing it was yesterday. Like, when you're looking at that parade and you're looking at all them people, and someone said in the chat just a minute ago, there's 100,000 there. There's 100,000 there along the streets of East London. That's just amazing. Just amazing. Like, there's 40,000 West Ham fans out in Prague, man. Do you know what I mean? And this is what irritates me with some of our own fans, some of our own fan base, because they go, West Ham ain't a big club. And I'm like, bruv, we are. You just don't realise it. Do you know what I'm saying? And let's put it this way. If we had an owner who come in and spent a hell of a lot of money consistently, not just 1 year, consistently over the next 5 years, West Ham would easily get in the top 7, top 6 all the time, consistently, yeah, and be a top end club, and could even break into the top 4. And I'll tell you the best way of summing this up is look at Newcastle. Newcastle a year ago were fighting relegation, survived like us. A year on, they're in the Champions League, and fair enough, they've spent some dough, but they haven't spent mega money. Do you know what I mean? And I've seen their budget for this year. It come out earlier on today, 75 million. Do you know what I mean? Which is not a lot. And West Ham have spent a lot more than that. And obviously, we haven't got the poor of London. When you sign players, people go, right, West Ham United Football Club, East End of London, you've got the Docklands, you've got Canary Wharf, you're 8 mile from Central. You know, it's a pull at the end of the day. Let's get to Lukey boy. I still think a takeover needs to happen before we see a real difference and change in ambition. I agree totally, 1,000%. I think the moment that does happen, then you will start seeing a shift for me of expectation. I think a lot of fans like myself, like, you're not in it for the trophies. Like, that's the old saying with West Ham fans. You don't support West Ham for the trophies. You support West Ham for the love of the shirt and the pride of the East End, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? And when it comes to sort of a new owner and all that, it wouldn't take long for a new owner to get the best out of West Ham and financially, because the pool of West Ham as a whole right now is massive. West Ham winning that could bring us a lot of fans and a lot more sort of people could be interested in signing for West Ham United. That's one thing I will say. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the feeling I have on West Ham at the minute, and I do think that, like, the signs are very, very good. This summer is just going to be a very weird summer, whatever happens. I think one thing they do need to sort out, West Ham, is what happens with Moyes straight away, so we all know where we stand. Yeah, that's one thing we need to do. Obviously, someone said today that they're in a meeting today. If it is today or the end of next week or something, it needs to be done ASAP. Right, it has to. Right, so everyone knows where they are, and we all know what we're going to expect moving forward. Do you know what I'm saying? So we will see on that. Who's skipper next year? I think we need to buy one, like when we bought Noland and Lucas Neal. I tell you what I did like. I like Aguerd. I do. I think Aguerd's a good player. I think he's the sort of player who can sort of be captain. I think it's a very, very hard one, I think, because you're losing the heartbeat, ain't you? I think we might have to buy a captain. Like, yeah, I agree with you, Luke, on that one. Do you know what I mean? So, which is a bit not very good. Sullivan needs to sell before we can get to the next level. I agree with others on that. You don't support us for the trophies, but I think a lot of West Ham fans have ambition because we can see what the club is. I agree. I've had many debates with Alfred many times, WestHamOnline on this channel, and I do look at it from a younger fan's point of view. Yeah, listen, I don't always agree with Alfie, yeah, and probably about 8 or 9 times out of 10, I don't always agree with him. But I can relate to him to a point. I can say, you know what, when I was 18 or like 18, 19, if when West Ham got to, let's just say, the FA Cup final, I was thinking West Ham was a really good side. And it was a good side back then in 2006, because obviously we got promoted and we had a really, really good season. We got to an FA Cup final, yeah? So I can understand it from the younger fan base, but from the older fan base, like myself, moving up, we've seen this shit for so many years. We just don't want to see it again. Do you know what I'm saying? And West Ham shouldn't be fighting relegation battles. That's one thing I will say. So obviously next year is going to be a bit of a culture shock for West Ham, I think, because when you do take Deck out of this team, I'm not saying Declan Rice. Well, West Ham will move on from Declan Rice. Don't get me wrong. Like, West Ham have moved on from many other players in the past who have been very, very good players. Like when we lost players in 03, like Defoe, Carrick, Glenn Johnson, all these players, West Ham did manage to sort themselves out, and we will find other players. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the players. It's not really the manager. It's the owner for me, who he's got to make sure that whatever money that we spend, whoever the manager is, has the right funds to do the job. That's the first. That's the most important thing of all. Do you know what I mean? Because someone said to me last year, yeah, and I do. This is the only fear I have with West Ham this coming summer. That West Ham ain't going to go out and spend the sort of same amount of money that it did last year. Like someone said to me, James, I think they was looking at trying to sell Rice last year, and they couldn't, and Rice sort of stayed because of the semi-final and Noble. So he thought, you know what, I'll give it another go this year, and I think that's the reason why Rice stayed this year. And obviously now is the time. I think it proves it the other day or yesterday with Sullivan, the way he was carrying on TalkSport. We could have 200 million to spend, but without sorting out our recruitment department first, I can't see any amount of money on players working as good as Newcastle. I agree on that. I do. I really do. Kera and Emerson could be star players next season, surprisingly. Yeah. Do you know what? Whatever happens next season, obviously I'm glad the season's over. Don't get me wrong. It's been as someone who's covered it on the air with all the boys, it's been draining. That's one thing I will say, like in regards to sort of the Premier League side of things. And listen, we've had many debates on this channel about Moyes in, Moyes out, and my argument has always been he had to win the conference for me to make it a successful season. Like I think, and I've had this many debates on this and all. When people say about, oh, I've seen shit football, but I've seen shit football for many years and West Ham have never won anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So if someone said to me, James, you're going to have to tolerate shit football, but you're going to win something, you know, I'll take it 100%. Aguerd will come good, but we might need to purchase someone with stronger leadership. That is a smart choice, even if it might be expensive, but someone who a captain for a few solid seasons minimum. I agree. Listen, whatever we do sign, I want to see younger players. The main thing I want to see next season, whatever players we sign, is hungry players. These players are hungry to play in the claret and blue. I'm happy with that, yeah, because they will give it everything, yeah. I see someone today saying about taking Declan Rice out, and obviously, what about Flynn Downs? And I'm not on that vibe with Flynn at the minute. I think Flynn's a decent player. I've backed Flynn up on numerous occasions, but he's not the man for West Ham in regards to coming in and taking over Declan Rice's role. We need someone who's a lot better than Flynn. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's going to West Ham just needs to go out and sign a defensive midfielder. Someone who can just patrol the front, the back line, nice, and I'll be happy with that. I really would. DR Sports video just popped up. Is Declan Rice overhyped? Give it a rest. See what I mean? And this is the thing, right? And this is the fear that I have with Deck going to Arsenal, because I do not rate him like we do, and if it goes bad, it can go bad very, very quickly. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just don't like that. Do you know what I mean? I've seen, what's the percentage I'd give of how many Arsenal fans? I've seen about 65% of Arsenal fans not liking Deck. Like, really, not rating them at all. I've seen the odd 35 turning around and saying, you know what, decent player come in, he can sort of, yeah, he's young, he's this, he's that, look what he does with West Ham. They give him his due. but it's about 65% of the Arsenal fan base don't want Declan Rice at their club. Do you know what I mean? And I just hope Deck sees that. Do you know what I'm saying? So we will see. Have we tied Bowen down yet on a longer contract? Well, as soon as we do, I'll be so happy with that. I don't think Bowen's going anywhere. I think Bowen enjoys playing for West Ham. Obviously, the Danny Dyer thing is there. I think he's happy at West Ham, Bowen. I don't think he has to move. He's just won a trophy with West Ham. He was great the other night, I must admit. The goal he scored and the interview he done after just proves like where he's come from. Do you know what I mean? Bowen's been a bit of a up and down season for me. Like I think he got burnt because he didn't get picked for the World Cup. He was awful in moments this season where there was times where Mitch was just turning around saying, "Don't even have him like even in the side." Do you know what I'm saying? Because he was that bad. And to go and score the winner, both him and Ben Rama, like it's a moment that we won't forget. Let's put it like that. And I'm pleased for Jared Bowen. I really am, because I've always liked Bowen. Yeah, even when West Ham signed him back in 2020, I always turned around and said that if West Ham whole fans and people who I knew through Hull turned around and said to me, James, he is quality. Yeah, on a one-on-one situation, and that on Wednesday night when he run through, I literally had no fear whatsoever of it not going in, because when he's on it and he's focused, one-on-one situations he don't really miss. Don't get me wrong, it's a bit of a scuff shot, but we will take it 100%. Hi James, what a few days. Just delighted we won the conference and Deck can leave knowing he won something with us. 100 million plus incoming. We need to spend wisely. I agree, Jay Woods. Hope you're well, man. On ambition for us, it's about staying competitive, being safe by February, and then having a chance to be 6th, 7th, etc. every year with a chance to get European football. We know we can't win the league. I agree on that. Obviously, win the league and all that. Obviously, I see fans, especially today, saying about like you're getting excited over a third tier fucking trophy. Yeah, but that's our level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, if West Ham continue to spend the amount of money that they spend every year, 150 million each year, then maybe the Europa League would be the next step. Do you know what I'm saying? But I don't listen. A semi-final, a winner is in a final of another competition. Listen, we can't be picky as fans, and no rival fan can sort of come at us. And I've heard this argument all for the last 48 hours about the Arsenal, West Ham, basically who's had the better season. Now, in 10 years' time, no one will remember Arsenal's pressurising City and finishing second. Oh, they will go. It was a moment, but at the end of the day, Manchester City did win the league. In the end, they won it pretty comfortably in the end, really, yeah. Don't get me wrong, no disrespect to Arsenal, because I know a lot of Arsenal fans and they've had a good season, right, in their eyes. But when I look at our season, right, fair enough, we haven't been good in the league, but we've won something. And that's history. You can't, history don't lie to you. Do you know what I'm saying? And there's been many times where I've seen Arsenal finish 8th a few times and win a trophy, and they're still literally won a trophy, which is like sort of their legacy sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I just can't please some people. Brian, just imagine what Rice would be like with quality players around him week in, week out. You don't know. Before he finished this season, he was shit. Yeah. I'm worried he will be a small fish in a big pond at Arsenal. He won't get the love from the Gooners that we have always shown him. It's a shame, really. That is the fear that I really do have, and that's why I don't understand why he's eager for I don't say eager for a move. If he goes to Arsenal, I think that's the worst kind of move for him, because I just don't see where. I think Arsenal had a good season this year, but are Arsenal going to win the Premier League? I don't believe so. Yeah, I think anyone who can get in front of City, yeah, right now, then City are just a machine. Obviously, having Haaland there and Pep there. The moment Pep goes, someone might take over that role. But Arsenal are always like 2 or 3 defeats away from a crisis. Yeah. Whereas if he goes to somewhere like a Manchester City, for instance, at least you know you're getting a world-class player going to a world-class club and a world-class sort of manager. Do you know what I mean? Because he's world-class. So we will see. Harvey Barnes should be priority in my opinion. He's absolutely terrorising defenders. It can only improve. Worth 30, 35 million. Yeah, between that bracket, I'll take that, mate, all day long. Afternoon, Jimbo. So happy that you got for the Benny love. Listen, me and online have been at it literally on the WhatsApp group, yeah, because I sort of give it to him big. And he still can't give Syed Benram any credit. And I was like, come on, you got to give him some credit. And that's coming from West Ham Online. And in the end, I think he knows that like you just can't mock him. Do you know what I mean? And this is the argument I always have. When he's in that situation with a penalty, he don't miss. Do you know what I mean? He just does not miss, and he's got that sort of. I've got that relaxed feeling when he's on penalties. Yeah, because I just feel what's going in the back of the net. I was in the pub the other day. Obviously, how emotional I was. I told everyone at the start to back Ben Rama, and they got nice prizes on Ben Rama. I said, "Listen, I think he's going to score tonight." When he did, literally, the amount of free drinks I got was unreal. So, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, listen. I've backed him up, but the thing is with me, the difference is with me, I will criticise him if he does shit. Like, I'm not that sort of person that will sort of overshadow what he's doing. If he's doing crap stuff on the pitch, I'll say, right, he's been crap today. And I'll hold my hands up and say, yep, you've been crap. You're not being good. So, yeah, I mean, obviously next season he's got to go up another level, I think, for me. Because if Harvey Barnes comes in, Barnes will go ahead of him. 100%. That's come from me. So Benny's got to sort of go up another level and be that sort of player that I do think he can be. I really do. Has anyone seen David James's video from TalkSport? Tasman 307. Thank you for the £2, mate. And no, I haven't, mate. I haven't. Rice will make his biggest mistake the day he leaves. I agree on that. I mean, he's just won a cup, and Arseworth's lost a league. £2 from Taz. Taz, you're right. Thank you very much, mate. Sangari from PSV would be a perfect fit in the central defensive midfield role as well. Yeah, I like him and all. I really do. Let's get down here. Got to give it to both Sully and Rice at the end of the day. This is down to Rice, and David James' video says so much to me. Sullivan, I can't give it to you, Taz. I really can't, mate. Sorry. I'll say it through gritty teeth. Arsenal have played their best football this season for years and won fuck all. We've played absolutely shit and won a trophy. Valley point from Happy Hammerette. He hates Ben Rummer. He's talking about West Ham Online. 4 competitions ahead. We're going to need the bigger squad this time around. I agree with you 100%, mate. Right, let's talk about a few players. I'm going to talk about a few players that I'm going to give some praise to. I'm not going to rate them because I'll leave that till sort of Sunday with the boys. I'm going to talk about this man, Lucas Paqueta. For me, the future's very bright with him in the side and him here. Yeah. One thing I can safely say is I think Lucas Paqueta can attract very good players. Very good players. And this is where, if Declan goes, I just hope we can use Paqueta in a way that he can attract players to the club. I think he had a bit of a mixed bag game on the other night. I will say that. I thought he got kicked the shit out of quite a lot. And Fiorentina was literally bullying him to a point. Yeah. But one thing with this kid, I will say that is that he does, when he does influence the game, I'm very, very happy. And this is the argument that I've had all season with, obviously, me and Mitch have had this row. Me and Lucas have had this row. I said, I need Lucas Paqueta to influence games. And when he does, he's a major player for West Ham. And obviously the other night he did influence the game by giving that pass through the middle of the park. And for me, with this man at the club, and he looks very, very happy. He embraces West Ham. He's enjoying it. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's the man that is sort of could lead us next season up. Do you know what I'm saying? I think the passion that he's got in it, do you know what I mean? It's the Brazilian flair, and do you know what I mean? And the sort of camaraderie of the geezer. Do you know what I mean? He's dancing away. I thought he was decent the other night. I really did. And the pass through was just unreal. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, you needed that pass was worth £50 million of anyone's money. Do you know what I'm saying for me? And yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. I will say that in doing that. Paqueta's vision is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That pass is inch perfect for Bowen quality, absolute quality. I agree. I know. Look. If Rice is going to go, we've got to get a red now for replacement. And Sully, he's acting on that. I agree with Tasman, mate, 100%. I think Cornet needs to stay one more season after the injury completely ruined this season. Also needs to stay on the side. I agree. Lucas Paqueta, fever. Lucas Paqueta. Paqueta could have had 2 assists, and Antonio stayed on the side and put his chance away like Bowen did. I agree. £50 million. Agree. That was the money. Do you know what? Yeah, just sort of read it up with him. I'm pretty quietly confident, sort of moving forward into sort of next season with him at the helm. Do you know what I mean? He's a quality player. I think Lucas said to me next season he's going to cook James big time. This man, right? And I said, I hope so. Right? I need to know who's going to go with him, like i.e. the replacement for Deck. Yeah. Now, I listen. This geezer, if he can attract players to the club, then West Ham are going to be flying. Any Brazilians who fancy coming to the East End of London, and I see something on Twitter which done me. Man said about getting rid of him for £15 million. He said he's not all that, and I'm thinking, listen, I was hard on Paqueta at the start when he arrived because I was like, I need this geezer to turn up, and he's just not turning up. There is games where he does go missing. I will say that. And that's got to improve a bit more next season because he's going to be a bit of a major asset. But also, do you know what people say about captains? This geezer wouldn't be a bad shout if he can sort his English out. I'd have him as captain all day long, Paqueta, because he's got the fight, he's got the younger, he's got the quality, and obviously you need to have a captain who's going to lead by example. Do you know what I'm saying? So, wouldn't be a bad shout for him. Really wouldn't. All right, let's move on to this man. Where is he? Let's talk about this man. Emerson. God, dear, what performance Wednesday night. I will say that. Gets a lot of stick, Emerson. Yeah, rightfully so in some aspects. I've had many rows with certain man, aka Alfie on Emerson. And for me, I think the performance the other day was brilliant for me from start to finish. I thought he was excellent. When I look at him, I think is he the right man next season? I just don't know yet. I just don't know. I think he was brilliant on Wednesday night, but I think there's a lot that we need to sort out, especially on the left back and right back situation. Because one thing I do think we need is pace, especially at the back. Because Aguerd is fast, Zuma is good, but he's very rarely there. Yeah, because he's always it's never 2 weeks the same with Zuma. One week he's good, another week he's injured. So you need someone who's consistent. So I like Emerson, and I've always said that I think he's a decent player, and let's just hope he comes good. Remember all those spaces last summer where I defended Ben Rama from all his haters like online, and now he scored in a European final. West Ham legend. I know, mate. Trust me. Anyone who follows me on Twitter, we all do the spaces on Twitter late in the evening. Trust me, I can't wait to get Alfie on the space, mate. I'm going to rinse him on Ben Rama. I will do on that. But to sort of round it up with Emerson, good performance the other night. And you know what? He was probably my man of the match the other night. I thought he was excellent from like start to finish. I thought he handled that left-hand side well. Big, bold move from Moyes and got absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Let's get into some more comments and see what you're saying. What's Barry? Barry Clark. Hope you're well, Barry. Emerson is a great player. Needs to be in the team every week. Cresswell ain't all that anymore. I agree, mate. If Rice doesn't go for at least 100 million, I'll be disappointed. Better off keeping him, if so, and sell him for 80 next season. Wolf, it's not me. You got to be running convinced, mate. So Daddy is the one of the goats. He's always cooks. So Daddy, anyone knows So Daddy, go and follow So Daddy. He's a mad American. Agree on this comment 100%. Man, the match Emerson, in my opinion, yeah, he was, mate. I thought he was top draw. Joe, what there was a lot of umming and ahhing with Emerson, yeah, especially on Wednesday night. When I see him in now, I thought, right, Moyes knows what he's doing this time around. He's not gone. One thing he didn't go is sentimental on Wednesday night. He went, you know what, the right call is Emerson because of the pace. Gonzalez is a decent player. Emerson will know some of these players through being in the Italy side. It was the right move. And he just paid off. It just really paid off for him. Let's get down here. James, can you text Rice later and ask him to stay, please? Mate, I've been tagging him in all sorts of stuff, but he's not responding to my tweets, sadly. Massive summer coming up. Get the right players in, and we'll go again. Yeah. Let me have a look. Emerson's experience in finals was key. Right call by Moyes. I agree on that. And he's the first player to do all the trophies. Emerson, which is you've got to give him credit for that. He's won every trophy going, I think, other than the World Cup. I think it is. Let's have a look, see what's being said here. James, does Scamacca stay next season? I see people putting him down, but he's been injured. He is a quality player. For me, Scamacca needs benefit of doubt this season, like Cornet. Yeah, I don't think Scamacca's that bad, if I'm being honest. People make out he's like the worst player ever to come at West Ham, but I just think in a different style of play, or maybe the same system and get the players around Scamacca, I think Scamacca would be a very, very good player. I can give him benefit of that this season. Like, there's been games this year where I think he's been very, very unlucky. Like, I remember the Leeds game. I always mention the Leeds game because it's clear to me, like clear as day. There was Leeds away this season, 2-2. He scores a great goal on the 70th minute mark, literally a rocket from like outside the box, bottom corner. He's just scored. He's absolutely buzzing. Then Moyes goes and subs him. It was more to sort of like, instead of saying, no, I'm going to leave him on because basically he's just scored, he's up for it now, Moyes goes and takes him off. And that's where I want to see more of that from Moyes. And I want to see Moyes stays. I want him to be like not so sentimental with players. Do you know what I mean? If a player's on the bench and he has to come on, then he might not have to come on. Do you know what I'm saying? Simple as that. Scamacca can do one. To be honest, he wasn't there at the final, but made it for the parade in Stratford. Can't stand him. So, Stroppy. Well, Barry, no, he was there, mate. Barry, I've got to correct you there, mate. He was actually at the final. He was on the pitch. I've got photographic evidence, Barry, so I can send it to you, mate. If you've got a Twitter or anything, he 100% was there, Scamacca. 1,000%. You know what I mean? And he got back for the parade. I will say that. I really hope Scamacca stays quality footballer. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. He was on the pitch. See, Snazzy. You know. Remember when Alfie told me to get a life because I said we'll win? Well, who's laughing now? Come on, you irons. Alfie says a lot, mate. Listen, Keith, if you was in our WhatsApp group, mate, the amount of abuse me and Alfie give each other, mate, isn't for public knowledge, but it is bad. You know, but obviously next season is just. I'm happy for the break, really, like because. Now the break's come, it's just sort of like everyone could chill out in the summer, everyone can relax and go again. Obviously, there will be talk about different things, different transfers and all that, but I will do stuff on here for that. Get Potter in. Why can't we? Fever, can we talk about Moyes? What's the minimum for Moyes next season? Well, if he stays, good question. I think if he stays, for me, I think well, for me personally, I don't think the fan base should be on his case as bad. Do you know what I mean? If someone said to me right now, Moyes is going to stay here next season, and West Ham finish 10th, yeah, but we get to a sort of semi-final of the Europa League or quarterfinals of the Europa League or higher, I could accept that. Do you know what I can? Do you know what I'm saying? Because listen, this is going to break eventually. Like West Ham ain't going to keep like going through every season, like finishing in Europe unless we win it or we perform in the league. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think the expectations got to be sort of realistic. I think this season's expectations, I said it at the start of the season when I done my season preview. I turned around and said if West Ham can win the conference and finish 12th, I'm happy. I think the only fear with a lot of West Ham fans who I've spoke to is that this season where West Ham have been so low in the league and so literally looking like they can't win a game for love and money, they don't want to see that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at where Crystal Palace finished this season, I think West Ham fans would have been happy with that because it would have been a bit higher up. But in one way, I don't think, like, for me personally, I couldn't care less. Like, as long as we don't get relegated, because I've seen enough shit in my lifetime at West Ham. Do you know what I'm saying? I would have liked to see Craig Dawson there to get his medal, and as he played some really good games in the conference for us. I agree, mate. 7th plus 200 million is fair to ask to finish 6th, I suppose. Yeah, I know. Well, we have to finish at least in the top 10 next season. That's one thing I will say. Like, I think next season it's going to be a bit stronger. I think a lot of the other teams are going to be stronger. Like, I don't think Chelsea will be as bad as they were this season. I know that. I've got a little sort of punt for next season with a few teams. Anyone who thinks sort of Brighton are going to do what they've done this season, it ain't going to happen. I think next season they're going to collapse. Like, obviously they've lost a few key players, and I think that bubble might start bursting, especially with them being in the Europa League. I will say that. So I think whatever price Brighton are right now to finish in the bottom half, I'd be over that, because I do literally think that. James literally just said what I've typed. Sorry about that. This league's going to be so much tougher next season. Sorry about that. I missed that one. I do apologise. One thing about Moyes, I was on the same bench as Gonzo and wanted him out now. But the sides have had a go at each other, and he's been fair to Moyes. He's kept us up, and 2, we won a fucking cut. Yeah, I agree, Tasman. I really do, mate. For me, if he would have lost, and this is the argument that I had the other day, was someone said to me, yeah, but if he loses, James, then you want him out the door. I said, yeah, I do. I want him out the door. Like, I want him out the door regardless, Moyes. But I've got one thing with me. I've got respect for a geezer who's just won us something. That's one thing I will say. If he's just won us a trophy, it's very hard for me to go, oh, yeah, sorry, mate, you just won us a trophy, but you're sacked. You know, but it's what it is. Let's hear what Space has got to say. West Ham fans' behaviour in Istanbul. Well, we wasn't in Istanbul. That's Manchester City, but we'll carry on. Was disgraceful. Police are investigating a death caused by hooligans. Spoils the whole event. Now, Space. Number one, we weren't even in Istanbul. You know what I mean? Manchester City are. So you've got the wrong stream, bruv. The wrong stream. But we move on. Spurs in Australia is booked. We are playing them. Yeah. People act like Skamaka didn't help during the early stages. He has to stay. I agree. But I remember the game against, was it Silkeborg? Who remembers that game when West Ham decided to go? If I remember rightly, West Ham were comfortable in that game. I think it ended up like 4-2 or something, if I remember rightly. Silkeborg away. He scored that rocket from outside the box. Like, obviously the keeper done pretty bad, but it was decent, really good effort. He needs to stay, mate. Do you know what I mean? I will say that. Let's get down the bottom here. Let's see what Sadadi's got to say. We are in the first part of Europa next season. We probably will get another easy Europa League group next season. Let's hope so, mate. More the merrier. You know what I mean? Does Moyes deserve a new contract? Not for me, mate. Does anyone even know when Lingard last played? And it's funny, talk about Jesse Lingard to sort of round up this season for me. I'd done a little rant at the start of the season because Lingard decided that West Ham weren't good enough for him, and now he's flopped like a good in that Forest, which is this is music to my ears. The only thing I will say, if Moyes does stay in charge, do not even dare think about signing him. Right, that's one thing I will say, because that will be a sackable event, and he should be at the door. Do you know what I'm saying? To round it up for me, I'm going to ask everyone in the chat. I've got 79 of you watching. I want you to tell me your best game this season for you. Obviously, take away the final, because obviously the final, everyone will say the final. But your best game this season for you, and obviously your worst game. We'll start off with the best game. My best game is a draw, right, for West Ham. This is people are going to say, well, a draw, like. But I just looked at it. That was the spark that I wanted out of West Ham to sort of make West Ham into go back to old, basically. Yeah, and it's the Arsenal game, 2-2 draw at home. When West Ham went 2-0 down against Arsenal at home, I'll be honest, I was expecting West Ham to lose about 7 or 8-0 because we was getting absolutely smashed to bits by Arsenal. But the second half recovery from West Ham, and when we scored, and this, I'll be honest with you, if that game would have went on for another 5 minutes, we would have beat Arsenal easy. Like we was all over them, and yeah, we was quality. Obviously, Saka missed the penalty, and you know, what I mean, Ben Rama scored a penalty, and do you know what I mean? I would say that was the moment for me where I thought, you know what, West Ham this season are going to be all right. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, there was other games this season which have been absolutely disaster, and I'll get onto them shortly. But obviously, the Arsenal game was one of the highlights. Obviously, the Man United game was a decent performance. I must admit, very, very good performance. But the Arsenal game, I see the spark of West Ham again for me, and I was like, here we go. Excuse me. I thought the Leeds game was good, but there was no real pressure on it. Obviously, Nottingham Forest was good also for certain reasons. But yeah, I'm going to say the Arsenal game. I think like to come back from 2-0 down for playing so bad as we had been playing, and to draw the game, and we could have won the game. I think that's the one for me. Now, the worst performance for me this season, fuck me, there is a few, but the Brighton game stands out to me like no end. Like the Brighton game was just so painful to watch. Like obviously, the Newcastle home game is up there. Trust me, the rant I done on here about that performance was fucking unreal. But the Brighton away game, West Ham was actually in a good run of form, if I remember rightly. And we went to Brighton. I thought West Ham could do something at Brighton, and they ended up getting absolutely smashed to bits. And it just proved how good Brighton were. And it was embarrassing. And when you sort of see that sort of mould of West Ham, and I watched that game, and we just it was like 11 lads who just probably been on the piss the night before and didn't know what they was doing, just did not know. So yeah, I would say Brighton is definitely one of them. We've got a bit of a hoodoo over Brighton and Brentford at the minute, which we've got to sort out next year. Like we can't keep affording to give away sort of 6 points to each side next season. That's one thing I will say. If we're trying to compete at the top end of the table. So yeah, I would say yeah, the Brighton one is the one for me. I think the Newcastle one's definitely up there. You know what I mean? It's still not over it yet. Not gonna lie. Charlie, how you doing, mate? I hope you're all well. I see Charlie's watch along. It was very entertaining, I must admit. Our guy sort of clicked you up, Charlie, and you was yeah, it was. I see the watch along. It was really good, mate. Really, really good. And yeah, so I'm pretty buzzing with all of that, Charles. I must admit, I feel a lot better, a lot more at ease. You know what I mean? Best game when we beat Manchester United at home, which virtually secured safety. Worst game, Crystal Palace away. Crystal Palace away is one, but I think the Brighton one was just mental, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? If we had a decent season under Moyes again, I reckon Sully will extend his contract. Do you know what? I would love it if Moyes just turns around and says, "That's enough for me. Time to go." I would love it because then it would force Sullivan's hand then. Because at the minute, Sullivan's sitting there going, "Well, I ain't got to go and get a new manager." Do you know what I'm saying? And in one way, this is where I'm going to give him some slight credit. He done the right thing this season by not sacking him because there was times where Moyes, and listen, I want Moyes out. I have always wanted Moyes out. Yeah, there's no sort of flip flop thing with me. But there was moments this year where sort of Moyes got away with it. Every single time, there was times where he just got away with it at the right time. Like the Everton game was the right time. He wins that game. The Nottingham Forest game was the right time. Then he has that sort of spell where he goes to Newcastle and draws, and Chelsea at home he draws. And it was just sort of like crawling and just pulling yourself towards the line sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So in one way, he did get it right there, but doesn't mean to say he's got a lot of other things right, but it's what it is. Charlie gets a higher 10 in the ratings for his pre-match watch-along and review on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Thanks a biggie, Charlie. Up. Do you know what I mean, we love you, Charles. Most enjoyable game for me was Manchester United 1-0 and AZ at home. Yeah, the AZ at home one. I thought AZ away was nerve-wracking enough, but if we get the right signings in and sort out our squad, who can say we can't have a good run in the Europa League next season? Maybe I'm still on a high, but who cares? I'm loving European football. Totally agree, mate. Totally agree on that. But who's to say that another wouldn't have done what is done? The problem is there's no guarantee on that, is there? Do you know what I mean? That's the one thing I will say. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Moyes has done it, hasn't he? Let's be honest. So Alphabet FC, lots of bad, but possibly Leicester at home 2-0. Yeah, I agree. I do agree on that. But Tuchel did Lampard, Lampard got sacked. Yeah, nothing's never certain, I must admit. Another manager would have done it, but we need to give him credit, sadly. Very true, mate. Benitez did when Matteo got the sack. Jimbo, I think you need to put a bid into Hammer's chat for Charlie. 3-year contract. Heard he's got a release clause. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Well, I've done a good deed, people. I will tell the 84 of you in the chat. But as a treat from me to all the lads on E20, AFAs, all the lads who have been involved with me from the start, AFAs, WestHamOnline, Mitch, Lucas, I've done a good deed by buying them a canvas of their most favourite photo from the final. And I've just paid for it all. And basically it's going to come to my house here. I'm going to dish them out, send them either to the US and up north, and I'll see the other lads because they live local to me. So it's just like a thank you, really, from me to all of them. Do you know what I'm saying? For what they've done on here. Because running a YouTube channel, mate, I say to people, people say to me, Jane, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, go ahead, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? But trust me, it ain't as easy as you think it is. It is graft, just me, to organise yourself and do it all. So it's just like a token gesture for me to them. Yeah, some of the photos are pretty good, I must admit. There's some really nice ones there. There's one of Mark Noble that AFAS has got. And I'll be honest with you, it looks a lovely photo. Right, and that as a canvas print would be brilliant. Do you know what I'm saying? My one is a picture of the lads after the game in the sort of changing rooms. Big picture of them all celebrating and everything. It's just like it's a moment that we sort of, I don't ever want to forget. Trust me, next season I want to win the Europa League, and if West Ham win that, I'll get another canvas print. But yeah, for me, West Ham don't win trophies often, and when they do, I've got to embrace this moment because I might never see it again. Do you know what I mean? Whether or not I'm here or I'm not. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that is my good deed done for the day, I must admit. Your quality, James. I'm just myself, mate. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Let's have a live reveal, please. Do you know what? Amount of people, Thomas, who keep saying to me, when's Alfie going to show his face? I said, if I can get 10,000 subscribers, I said, Alfie will have to show his face. But you know what? Listen, you ain't heard this from me, but he is live on YouTube without his face. That's all I'm going to say. So go and find him, Thomas. You will see. Great stream, James. Happy Hammerette. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing all right. Tell me about, I've got a small gaming channel and it's a struggle. Tasman, trust me, mate, I'm telling you, right? The content that you've got to put out, and this is where I'm very humble. And you know what? That's another thing I'm going to say before I sort of round this up. I'm very humble in doing this because it is fucking graft, mate. It is absolutely like graft with the thumbnails and everything. But all the lads that I've known for years, like i.e. Charlie Walsh, who I've known for a good few years. Now, Charlie remembers me when I first started out. I first started out on Hammers Poles and all that, and I was doing my thing, and you know, um, yeah, like, and where it's sort of come from there to now is where I want it to be, and I only want it to go up. I don't want it to go down. So, you know, I just try and do my best for all the people who look after me. You look after me, I look after you. That's my sort of mentality, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? Right, I've done over an hour, and I'm going to wrap this up there because it's your Friday afternoon. The sun is absolutely shining out here. I will say that. It's an absolute beautiful day. Look, and it is, of course, it's a beautiful day. West Ham have won a trophy. Do you know what I mean? And do you know what? I said it on Twitter to round it up. I said, there's winning the trophy, there's seeing the boys celebrating, there's doing all that, but nothing will beat next year when how unbearable we're all going to be with certain fan bases next season. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just literally cannot wait because that is just going to, right, they are going to get it so big time, especially a certain fan base in North London. I will say that. So, yeah, we have a shiny silverware. Take care, for it's always good joining your live chats. No worry, Barry. You take care of yourself, mate. All the best to you. Roll on the Europa League and the Prem. We are massive. Winning the cup should give the players massive confidence going into the new season. I agree, bees knees. And on that note, I'll wrap it there. Thank you, everyone who's sort of participated today. Thank you for all the super chats from Tasman and Sadaddy, etc. Please smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll be back Sunday night. I will have all the boys on, right, from E20, yeah? And we're going to do a player ratings, the final player ratings of the season before I wrap up for the summer. Be there, 8 o'clock. It's going to be good. There'll probably be tears. There'll probably be lots of banter. And I'll be giving Alfie peace of my mind about Cyber Run, mate, trust me. So, yeah, go and enjoy yourselves tonight. And listen, enjoy this moment because I certainly am. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm a lot more calmer than I was the other day. I was emotionally damaged the other day, and I wasn't even afraid to admit it. But that was just 36 years of just my life just coming all out in one go. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not even ashamed to fucking cry out live on the stream because, like, I've seen this team go through the shit, and now I'm seeing them literally coming up smelling the roses. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm over the moon. I really am proud of this club right now. So, yeah, that's enough from me. You take care of yourselves. There is no outro video, but I will see you again soon. Take care. Peace.